Namaste, friends. Today I want to talk to you about an interesting concept in psychology called the forgetting curve. This theory was hypothesized by a German psychologist, Hermann Ebbinghaus, in 1885. And no, he didn't have a crystal ball to predict how much we'll forget the information. Now, let's imagine if I teach you Azure networking concepts today. How much content do you think you will retain in 1 hour, in 1 day, and in 1 week? Pause the video and think about it. To answer this question, I need to tell you a bit more about Hermann Ebbinghaus and his theory. Spoiler alert, it's not magic, it's science. So in 1885, Hermann Ebbinghaus came up with the theory called the forgetting curve. According to this theory, if you're learning something new, you're going to forget 50% of the information presented within 1 hour. In 24 hours, you're going to forget about 70% of the content. And within 1 week, you're going to forget 90% of the content that you've learned. It's like your brain is a seed and you're just losing information from there. So if you see this graph, the pink curve shows you natural forgetting curve. Blue line represents adjusted forgetting curve after each repetition and recalls. This basically shows that we forget information if we don't actively recall it. So should we stop learning altogether? Not really. When you talk about learning and memory, we need to understand our sensory input. So when you hear something, when you see something, or when you feel something or smell something, all these are part of your sensory memory. This sensory memory actually holds your attention. And this is your working memory. Think of it as your brain's sticky notes. Now, the problem is working memory cannot hold too many things. Your working memory can keep up to 7 things plus minus 2. This working memory data is then sent to your long-term memory. If you don't transfer content from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, you won't be able to recall most of the content that you've studied or read. It's like trying to remember where you put your keys when you're going out. So the problem with our education system that we see is we go through a bunch of notes. So our teacher keeps on writing notes on a whiteboard and we basically just copy them down and we get 50 pages of notes at the end of the school day. But I hardly retain any of the content at the end of the day, right? So it's like we're not able to remember any of the content. Maybe one page we're able to remember at the end of the day. One way to retain more content is by making it digestible or creating chunks of your document. You can do chunking by using a concept called mind maps. Mind maps help you to map all the content and make it digestible. Think of it breaking it down large pizza into bite-sized slices so that you can eat it easily. Another problem that we often see is we do rote memory instead of active learning. So if you go through all those 50 pages of notes, or you're basically preparing for an exam, those all-nighters before the exam, they're not very effective because you're able to retain most of the content only if you actively learn the content. It's like cramming for a test and then forgetting everything the next day. So instead of passively reading through 50 pages of notes, what we can do is we can actively learn the content. How do you actively learn the content? By using something called as flashcards. So if you combine mind maps with flashcards, you can retain the content and you can also actively learn it. Flashcards are like your brain cheat sheets. So you might be wondering how to create a mind map or how to create a flashcards. So if you're preparing for any Microsoft courses, we have an initiative called Project Brainwave. In this initiative, what we do, we leverage neuroscience of learning and we basically help you learn better. So if you visit aka.ms/MTT Brainwave, you can find a bunch of recreated mind maps there. For example, we have a mind map for introduction to AI created by using a tool called Flashcards. So with this tool, what you can do, you can create different zones where I'm teaching concepts like introduction to AI with different colors representing different concepts like visual perception, text analytics, decision making. It's like a colorful roadmap for your brain. You're easily able to jump from one zone to the other and revision becomes 10x easier. So this is a neat tool you can use. For active learning, instead of doing passive learning, for active learning, what you can do, you can use flashcards. So flashcards can be created on OneNote or Quizlet or other applications. For example, you want to create a flashcards about AZ-104 course. So what you can do, you can go to Copilot and type this prompt, create a 10-question flashcard for AZ-104 course, and then copy it to OneNote or copy it to your Quizlet platform. When you create flashcards, you can see one question at a time and create a matching game to actively learn the content. It's like playing a fun game while learning. So check out Brainwave to learn more about how you can remember the content effectively. I'll be back with another video to talk about neuroscience and visual learning techniques. See you there.